John Traver, everyone, is the CEO of Traver Connect, great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, a fixture of the Fixed Ops Roundtable as well. And John, we're honored to have you back with us again today. And you constantly take our conferences and elevate them a couple notches each time, and everyone looks forward to hearing you speak. So with that, I'm going to thank you, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the show over to you.
Well, Ted, it is our shared pleasure, honestly, here at Traver Connect. We're excited to be here. So with that, I wanted to get you prepared. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. So the very first one, I remember this piece from Peter Drucker. He said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Mark Fields at Ford back in 2008, he rode this hard. And I would agree that culture does eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and maybe even dinner. So when you think about culture, what culture are we talking about in your dealership, in your fixed ops department? I think we're talking about really, do you have a bent towards customer service? Let's start there. Is your culture a customer service culture? How would I know, John? Well, here's how you know. Number one, you're responsive. You probably focus on being helpful. Most of it's reactive. If the customer asks, then do this. You focus on CSI scores. Not a bad thing. Definitely customer service oriented. The opposite of that would be customer experience oriented. And that focus is going to look a little different. It's not so much responding, although you do have that. It's more perceiving, anticipating what's going to happen next. What is the customer thinking? What are they feeling? What will they experience? And so it's more proactive. You're perceiving their needs in advance, and you're building out a workflow for them that experientially is going to cause them to do business with you over and over and over. So I guess the question is really, is the sky the limit, and how high is the sky, right? What is your potential? Have you thought about asking that question to your team? When you look at who you are as the kitty, if you will, in the mirror, and you see the cougar, the mountain lion, the tiger, the potential is greater. We all agree with that. You say, John, can you put this in context for me? Well, sure. I mean, do you have a net promoter score? And if you don't, get educated, start there. Retention percentages of the units that you've sold that are in your market. We're spending over $600 a unit to retail a new vehicle. In our advertising cost alone, what is our retention? And so the list kind of goes on. So what I would do is I would do this as a drill with my team if I were you. And I would say, where do we stand now? And what is our potential? So once you do that, then the question is, how do we get there? And I think that question is answered with this. There's this journey that the customer has. It starts on the phones. 70% of your ROs are going to start on the phones. Have you addressed the phones? And then you got pick up and deliver. We've had Brian Benstock with us multiple times on the roundtable speaking to his journey with pick up and deliver. Then you have the lane experience. What happens when they get there? Is it a kiosk? Is it a human being? What's that like? Texting updates with artificial intelligence, mobile payments, and then loading the shop for that next appointment. I guess what I'm saying to you is this. If you want to maximize, if you're willing to maximize your customer experience, you can discover what your maximum potential is. If you closed every day with 2 words in your mind, knowing that everybody in your organization was driving overwhelming value, you know what? You'd wake up each day knowing you were going to conquer, because you're not worried about CSI scores if you're driving CX like this. Does that make sense? Now, the reason it doesn't happen is because we start like this too often. We put the small stuff in first, and we're so focused on being efficient that when it comes time to being effective, there's no room for the big rocks. The big rocks have to go in first, gang. You got to start there first. So as you walk into 2021, be thinking about what are the big rocks? What does the customer want? If I make it right there, everything else falls together. Now, just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. So what I thought I'd do is kind of shed some light on a half a dozen that I just highlighted and show you what that would look like if you're doing it. So first of all, the phones. I only got to say the phones, and you know what we're talking about right away. We know we miss 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 5 calls in service, yet 3/4 of the calls hitting the switchboard are coming to service. No wonder. Our hold times, guys, it's over $1.30 industry wide. And the average RO we know already is a $350 plus RO. So the average store is missing 5 to 10 calls a day. Nobody would disagree. But if we just said, hey, let's just say it's just three, there's nobody on the planet that would disagree with that. That's $1,000 a day. It's 23 grand a month. It's over $250,000 a year. Your BDC solutions got to start here because this is where the party starts. Then you got pick up and deliver. And I just want to highlight a few things. I learned a few things from Brian virtually this year, watching him on his journey. First of all, let's remember, we as customers will pay for the experience. We pay for Amazon Prime. Customers will pay for Walmart Plus. We'll pay for a Netflix subscription. And there's a wow factor to the pick up and deliver. But the thing about Brian's story that's so cool is he tells you about sort of the warts on the deal too. And what I mean by that is I love when he talks about servicing somebody's car and the wrong car being delivered back to the customer. Now, if you think customer service, you know, you're going to be afraid to try pick up and deliver. But if you think big rocks first and you think customer experience, you know you're going to screw up sometimes. Brian knew that. You know what? He's thinking effective. He's thinking big rocks. He's thinking, what does the customer want? We'll figure out the mistakes afterwards and refine it. We'll own it. Then you got the lane experience. So in the lane experience, when you take the calls out of the drive, you're giving the advisors about 2 hours a day back to interact with customers. That's what they're there to do, right? The return on time, the ROT is a half hour per RO. Today's labor rate is $1.31 nationally per NADA through June. Half of that's $65. 1,000 RO store at a half hour is 65 grand a month. I think we can figure out how to put that money to work. That's what time does. It gives them time to listen. It gives them time to sell. It gives them time to load a shop properly, update customer info, all those things. That's what the lane experience now can experience. And then you have texting updates with AI. I want to touch on this because status calls are going to handcuff you. The volume of status calls back to your BDCs, that's crazy. You can solve it with texting. And so the customer wants the updates. You realize that, right? They don't want to call. And AI is what is in place when your advisors don't use the tool. Sometimes we buy tools, our people don't use it. Probably not your store, but maybe a store near you somewhere on the planet, right? It happens. But AI can help you begin to fill in those gaps. Our friends at Update Promise have an incredible application that does this and drives it. And they've filled in the gaps. All I'm saying to you as a teammate is this is no longer a knowing problem. It's a doing problem. This is what they want. Look, Domino's Pizza in 2010 was a $7 stock. In 2020, it's $387 last night. It's a $5,000 increase. I'll show you in a sec. With all the only change they made, you guys, is a pizza tracker. That's it. The customer's in tune with their pizza being born, cooked, and delivered, and they want the same with their car. Mobile payments, don't make them go to the glass. If you want something new in this space, you got to stop doing stuff that's old, right? So what do? You give them touchless. I don't want to touch the dirty point of sale machine. I'd rather touch my dirty iPhone, right? Text the payment to them. Make yourself current, make it easy for them. And then load the shop with Next. Now, I just want to tell you, some of you guys have automated this, and that's a good start. But I would say layer in the human outreach because you're going to need it. And if you don't, you're not going to get your share. And then add texting invites. The dentist has beat us to the space. They kill it, right? And then day one mentality. You go, John, we've done this. Good, do it again. And do it again and do it again. Because there's no way you can be there in this area here until everybody that we sold that still lives in our market is servicing with us. We're not there. So to me, it's that refreshing approach, like, how can we get better? So I just want to take a couple minutes to touch on that. So just so you know, I don't make this stuff up. This is Domino's Pizza, an article on how they became what they would call a tech stock. And they're really just a flour and vegetable and meat company. Here's Domino's stock up 5,000%. And here's Friday's stock price at $3.89. I just want to let you know they're down $2 yesterday. It's crazy because all they did was add the pizza tracker. They thought about the experience and they've connected with the customer. So if you have maximum CX, then you have a chance next year to start achieving your maximum potential. The phones, that's going to be your BDC. Pick up and deliver, you're going to have to be willing to risk it to get the biscuit, as they say. The lane experience, there's your return on time. Updates with AI going back, getting rid of status calls in the BDC. We give them the pizza tracker. Time to pay, we're not going to make them go to the counter. We'll still offer it, but we're going to go mobile where they can be touchless. Active deliveries, now we can actually thank them and let them know what we did. That's return on time, showing up again by taking calls out of the drive. And the next appointment, BDC. To me, if you want to reach your potential, you're thinking about these touch points and you're saying, look, we're going to be frictionless. If you want to be effective, you got to do the right things first. That's what it's going to take. And we think we can help you, whether it's just advice or it's education or whatever. We're here to help. But at the end of the day, we want to see you win. So, Ted, to reach your potential, man, that's what it's going to take. What do you guys say?
John, if I wrote this down. It's a quote. If you want something new in this space, stop doing something old.
Yeah, just a little lathered up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes this stuff just falls out and I almost forgive me. But no, I'm passionate about it. I believe in our retail space. We have an incredible opportunity. What you guys have done with Fixed Ops Roundtable in 1 year, happy anniversary, is crazy. But the timing is right. But now we got to go about this, put the big rocks in first.
And these tools you're talking about are intuitive. And, going back to the CX and, look at other experiences, that come to mind, the Four Seasons. They anticipate what the customer is going to need ahead of time. And we're now able to do the same thing with the technology that you've got in place and some of the things that you've been pointing out. So,
thank you, Ted. It's a
John,
pleasure. We are always honored to be part of the event and excited to see it growing. And we look forward to a very bright future.
John, how do we reach you if someone in our audience wants to get a hold of Traver Connect?
Hey, TraverConnect.com, and right there on that bottom line, you can call us. I think we have my direct line in there, so I'll do the best I can. But we got a team of people here, Bob Gower, his crew. We would look forward to hearing what you're up against and helping you walk through the process.
A giant in this business, everyone. John Traver from Traver Connect here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.